Hey everybody, this is Sam Kwok here with one of the Kwok Brothers. And as you know, the COVID relief and stimulus bill now includes a fresh new funding for the Paycheck Protection Program loan, also known as PPP, and also the EIDL. Now, yesterday I did cover the details on the EIDL program. That video link is down below. You guys can go and check that out if you are interested in the EIDL program. In this video, I'm going to focus on the Paycheck Protection Program, and there are massive changes to what is a qualified expense, how the loan gets forgiven, and so forth. Now, of course, just a quick little disclaimer that I'm not an attorney, I'm not an accountant, or a representative of the SBA. These are simply my interpretation based on hours of research and reading on the new stimulus and relief package. I'm also going to include the full text of the relief package down below. So if you'd like to follow with me, the provision on the PPP starts on page 2042. So go and check out the link down below. You can follow with me as well. Now, right away, the package says that the SBA has 10 days to start making these changes and implementing them for any new PPP loan applicants or even second-time applier. First, we have to determine which business qualifies for the Paycheck Protection Program loan. Now, one of the questions that you may already have is if you've applied for the Paycheck Protection Program in the past, can you apply for it once again? And the answer is yes, you can apply for a second draw. Now, in order to qualify for the Paycheck Protection Program loan, you first have to show that you've lost 30% of your gross revenue during the same quarter in 2019. So if you lost, let's say 30 or 40% of your revenue in the second quarter of 2020, you must show that you've lost that compared to the second quarter of 2019. And number two, as a business owner, you must not have no more than 300 employees. So if you have more than 300 employees, the Paycheck Protection Program is not for you. And lastly, $2 million is the cap. So if you need more than $2 million for business funding loan, the Paycheck Protection Program is also not for you as well. Now, in regards to the term of the Paycheck Protection Program loan, according to the SBA, the PPP loans have an interest rate of 1%. Yeah, 1%, that's really, really low. And a maturity year of 5 years. So meaning 5 years the term, there's no collateral or personal guarantee required, and no fees to apply. So real quick, back on the 1%, even if you don't qualify for the forgiveness, and let's say you do end up having to pay back the loan, 1% interest rate is pretty darn good for the next 5 years. That's next to nothing. I mean, inflation is at 2%. So even if you do end up making the payments on the loan, you're going to be in a very good position. Of course, forgiveness is the best thing you want, but paying back the loan isn't as painful as some of the other loans that you may run into. So this is a pretty good program, especially if you need it to pay your employees and, of course, keeping your business open. The second thing I want to hit is that PPP now includes additional expenses that are also qualified for the rule for forgiveness. Okay, so first, what is this whole idea of the covered operation expenditure? What are some of the examples? Now, this is on page 2046 of the bill. This expense pretty much includes any business software expenses, cloud computing services related to like product or service delivery, payment processing. So if you use things like Stripe or PayPal, any processing fees can now be counted towards forgiveness of the Paycheck Protection Program, which is awesome. Any payroll expenses software. So I use Gusto. If you want more information on Gusto, it's going to be down below. I use Gusto to handle all my payroll expenses for my employees. Any human resource software, sales and billing function, or accounting software, those are all going to be included in the operating expenditure, and those will count towards forgiveness of the Paycheck Protection Program loan. Second, covered property damage costs. Now, this is costs related to any property damage related to looting or vandalism due to civil unrest during 2020. Now, of course, a lot of arguments have been thrown around by saying, well, business owners have insurance. They can just use insurance to cover these vandalism and looting costs. Well, a lot of insurance companies aren't doing that, and a lot of insurance companies are worried about the massive claims that they have to deal with. So part of what PPP now includes is any covered property damage expense. So if your business was damaged or was looted or vandalized due to rioting or any sort of civil unrest, then the Paycheck Protection Program now includes those costs in for the forgiveness of the loan. So essentially it gives you compensation for you to be able to repair and get your business back up to ship shape. So that's number two. Third thing is covered supplier costs. Now this I would imagine goes more towards companies that produces actual physical goods. So this is expenses related to supplier of goods. This could also include perishable goods. So if you sell food, Or if you sell groceries, for example, you can also use the funds from the Paycheck Protection Program to purchase these goods for you to sell for your business. This also includes any contracts made before the pandemic, anything that you were required to buy, any raw materials. So if you are in industrial or manufacturing, you can also use the Paycheck Protection Program funding to cover a lot of those raw materials to create your physical goods. And of course, last but not least, fourth item is the covered worker protection expenditure, meaning that if you purchase any new equipment or repair them for coronavirus protection, then you can use the funding and you can get the forgiveness as well. So good example is drive-through facility, any air ventilation system, physical barriers. You see that a lot in grocery stores these days, masks, or even on-site health screening. All those things can be now factored in when it comes to getting forgiveness on the Paycheck Protection Program. So if you use funding to get PPE, personal protection equipment, then you can use the funds from the Paycheck Protection Program and get forgiveness if you use the funds for those types of expenses. So those are pretty much the new additional expenses that business can qualify for loan forgiveness if the funds are used in such manner. Now, that leads to another concern that was brought up many months ago, and I did cover on this actually. I made a video about this, and that has to do with the tax deduction question on these expenses. A few months ago, the IRS released a memo saying that any expenses used for loan forgiveness could not be used for tax deduction. That meant that the business owners could receive the loan forgiveness, but may need to pay more taxes consequently. So clearly, this was a little bit of a concerning memo we saw from the IRS. But with the new COVID relief bill that just passed recently, there is much needed clarity on this. Now, you can use expenses to receive loan forgiveness and at the same time, use expenses to count towards tax deduction. So if I make a payroll cost and I use my payroll cost to factor into my loan forgiveness, I can also use that same amount of loan forgiveness or the payroll cost towards my tax deduction as an actual payroll cost. So this allows the businesses to double dip. They get the loan forgiveness and they also get the tax deduction on those expenses. Very, very good. And that was very concerning from the IRS. And I was concerned as well, because if I were the recipient, which I didn't apply for the PPP, if I were the recipient of the Paycheck Protection Program, I would have been concerned. So to be exact, this is what the text of the relief package says. And this is in subparagraph 2. No deduction shall be denied or reduced, no tax attributes shall be reduced, and no basis increase shall be denied by reason of exclusion from gross income provided by paragraph 1. So basically what that means is that any expenses that were used towards forgiveness cannot be denied for tax deduction. So this is very good for businesses hoping to get both the tax write-off and the loan forgiveness. So bottom line, to receive the forgiveness, you'll need to contact your PPP lender for the forgiveness application process. It's not automatically forgiven. So you have to go and contact your lender that originated the Paycheck Protection Program loan for you to start the forgiveness process. Now, in respect to how much of the expenses can be used for the forgiveness of the loan, the covered period for forgiveness for the expenses start on the beginning of the 8th week after origination and ending on the 24th week after the origination. So what that basically means is after you get the loan, after you receive the Paycheck Protection Program funding, beginning on the 8th week after you got the loan starts when the expenses counts towards the forgiveness. So this is where you want to obviously keep track of your records and your receipts, invoices, any types of documentation to support that you've spent your money on the qualifying expenses. In fact, my accountant have suggested that you should probably open a separate checking account so that there's no doubt that the funds that you receive from the Paycheck Protection Program is going towards qualifying expenses. So very, very important. You keep separate documentation. You want to make sure you get those forgiveness. And of course, beginning on the 8th week after the loan has been received, through the 24th week after you receive the loan, so between those two periods, that's when you can count your expenses towards the loan forgiveness. Other major changes to the forgiveness process is that the relief package created a new simplified forgiveness process for the Paycheck Protection Program if you have a loan under $150,000. Now, the application is just 1 page, so that's pretty good. I mean, it's really simple. There's no mountains of paperwork and documents you need to apply for. So if you qualify for less than $150,000 for your Paycheck Protection Program loan, then the forgiveness process is very simple. It's very easy, just one page. And that's the recent change that were made with the coronavirus relief package. Now, lastly, the big and the kind of a minor change to the Paycheck Protection Program is that the lenders are now held harmless in the case that the borrowers decide to take legal actions against the borrower. So lenders are not subject to penalties and connections to originating loans. And even further, to motivate the lenders to lend the program, the SBA is reimbursing the lenders by providing financial incentives. So if you are a business owner that has experienced hardship and you're struggling to keep your doors open during the crisis, do consider applying for the Paycheck Protection Program loan. I mean, I don't work for the SBA. I don't work for a lender. I'm just a YouTuber and a small business owner like yourself. So if you're a business owner that is struggling right now, you have employees and you just can't seem to keep the door open and you're having a hard time during the pandemic, do consider applying for the Paycheck Protection Program loan as one of the lifeline that you do have. I mean, the best thing that any business owner can do during a desperate time is to just simply survive. And I know it's hard to say, and I know I see a lot of my business friends that are struggling, especially a lot of my restaurant owner friends, they're struggling to keep their doors open because of all the shutdowns as well as the COVID measures. So fortunately, I do sense that we are nearing the end of this pandemic. Hopefully, just praying, right? Hopefully this will all be over as vaccines are introduced and we'll get to a point, hopefully, where the medical technology has caught up to remedy the effects of COVID-19 very quickly. And I hope to see COVID-19 just disappear right away because I'm sick and tired of this whole COVID thing. So guys, if you thought that this video was helpful, and sincerely, I do want to help you survive if your business is struggling, or maybe you are in fear that your business may close because of what could happen in the future with COVID, I hope that this video was helpful. So do consider subscribing to our channel, as well as check out some of the other videos and resources down below. And I appreciate you guys watching and hope that you guys share this video with any business owner friends that you may have that need the Paycheck Protection Program. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.